just here to get straight to the point. My wife and I have been married since we were 20. We are 38 now. We met in college, got married, and everything has been great. We both graduated, got good jobs, and started our lives together. My wife and I both made good money, so money was never an issue for us. My wife worked for her dad's small business while I worked for a very large company. After a few years, my boss left the company out of nowhere, and they needed someone to take over. The only person who knew how to run the department was me, so I got a major pay jump, a better bonus, and better benefits. So at 28, I was making probably 3 times more than my wife. At 28, the same year my wife gave birth to our first daughter. Then, 2 years later, our second. My wife, due to working for her father, was able to be more diverse in her work schedule. Well, around 5 years ago, my father-in-law passed away unexpectedly. That left my mother-in-law and wife in a hard position: sell the company or run it themselves. My mother-in-law had no clue how to run it, so my wife said she would do it. After my wife took the company, it did just as well as when her father ran it. With that being said, my wife got a huge pay increase, more than me. I was proud of her. Going from a basic worker to running a whole company isn't easy. Anyway, our daughters started suffering from not seeing their parents. My wife and I discussed one of us staying home. She said, "The company you work for will be fine without you. Mine could go under." I agreed, so I quit my job and became a stay-at-home dad and husband. I do everything. I make sure the girls are all taken care of. I cook, clean, fix things, make sure errands are run, you name it. I pamper my wife when she gets home from work. This went well for a while until about a year ago. My wife was always very appreciative of what I did and loved it. She has become very mean lately, saying things like, "Do you do anything?" or "How about you work for real?" I work my ass off every day, making sure she doesn't have to lift a finger when she gets home at all. Also, I had a real job, but I quit to raise and take care of the family, the girls, our home, and you not to mention, my wife is very sexual, always. Has been, she quit initiating sex, and when I ask, she is never in the mood. That was very odd. Eventually, I quit trying. I just thought, with all the pandemic crap and everything else, she was just very stressed and it was getting to her. I started trying harder to make her happy, but nothing ever worked. Last weekend, my oldest had a softball game, so I got everything ready and we went. During the game, I wanted to take a video for my mom and dad since they live in another state and don't get to see my daughters that often. I forgot my phone, so I asked my wife if I could use hers. She had been attached to it all day, so it would be good for her to get off it anyway. She handed it to me and said she was going to get a drink and a snack. She got up and I started videoing my daughter. Then a message came up on some app. I checked, and I couldn't even fathom what I saw. My wife and this guy from her work, who is 8 years younger, are sexting and sending videos and pics talking about how great the sex was. And then he's saying how I'm some wimp who can't get a real job and is just taking care of his women. And my wife agrees with him. I couldn't believe this. I was so devastated and angry all at the same time. I heard my wife coming back, so I closed the app and started videoing again. On the ride home, and when we got home, my wife tried to talk to me, but I wasn't in the mood. Eventually, we lay in bed, and for the first time in a while, I guess they hadn't met in a while, she tried to have sex. I tell her I am not in a mood. She says, "If you're going to be bitch about everything, you can sleep on the couch." I got up and went to the couch, and now I have been here since I don't know how to move forward with this. I really just don't know where to start. My wife was my everything. My girls were my world, and all of that is dying. Any advice would be wonderful, as I really need it. Update number 1. Hey everyone, I want to thank you all for the advice you all gave. First off, I do have the text, pictures, videos, and everything. Second, I don't own any of the companies. It is 50-50 between her and my mother-in-law. Third, I can't sleep in the bed. I have been sleeping in a guest bedroom every night, and that is where I will be staying to answer. I have decided to divorce her anyway. This morning, I called a firm in another town to avoid anyone finding out. Thankfully, they were able to get me in this morning, as someone had canceled after dropping off my girls. I drove over there to make a long story short. He is a very good lawyer. I showed him what I had. He said that luckily for me, with the evidence I have, she will be pretty much screwed in the divorce, seeing as I quit my job to raise our girls. She is never home. She is having an affair. He prioritizes this man over me and my girls. She will lose very easily. He basically said we would get child support and alimony. I would keep the house, and she will have to pay for it as long as my girls live there. Also, he stated that we could even try for more money since I am considered no longer viable in the working world to help me pay for more education to get a job. Some of you were right. He said to not work until after the divorce is over. He said, since you are the husband, if you have a job, you can lose a lot of this. He asked if I wanted full custody. I said that I don't mind my wife seeing her girls on the weekends every once in a while, but I would want mostly full custody. He said, since she had an affair in the marital home, I can basically do what I want. He stated that bringing over a strange man to the house put the girls in danger and made her guilty. So I will be going for full custody, where she can get weekends once, maybe twice a month. No man will be allowed around my girls, and if there is, she could face problems with me if I find out. I just don't want that coess around my girls. He eventually said to keep quiet until the drafts are ready, and then he will issue someone to serve her and have it issued that she is required to leave the home. He said he should have it done sometime next week. He asked me to just keep quiet. He said, I know it is hard and you are upset, but just shut the hell up until everything is done. Once the divorce is over, you can say whatever the hell you want about her, but until then, keep your mouth shut. He said to act as normal. He said no fights, no issues, sleep in a separate bed, and no sex. I said no problem, but why? He said, trust me, just don't do it and do as I say. I just got home and have started getting ready for dinner, with acting and being normal. I will be acting as if everything is okay until she is served next week. Thank you all for the advice and some very harsh words. He recommended I get an STD test plus a DNA test on my girls. When I asked why, he said it is pretty rare. Incidents like this are the first time they have happened, so yeah, that hurt to hear and scared the hell out of me. Update number 2. Hey everyone, I just want to thank you all who sent me good messages over this period. I have been feeling down, and things have been rough. To preface this, I have talked to my lawyer about these posts. I didn't go into too much detail. They did tell me, though, as long as I keep them brief and not super specific, I can post. But I just have to be careful about what I put on to not lead to too many details. So for a quick update, like I said, we will be brief and not too specific for legal reasons. We will start with the test. I was able to get an STD test on myself and a paternity test on my girls. It came out that I thankfully have no disease and I am clear since I have been pretty much sexless. From her for the last year, I wasn't all that surprised. Now, for the one that I am sure most of you are wondering about, the test on my 2 girls. Am I the dad? I will always be their dad, regardless of the results. However, I am here to say that yes, I am their biological father. I have never been so happy to know that I am their dad. I never thought I would have to question it, but here we are. As for what has happened with my soon-to-be ex, well, she is out of the house, and I have been granted full temporary custody. In the future, maybe a while, I will go into more specific details. However, for now, she is out of the house. My lawyer set everything up for me to get my girls and make sure that we legally handled her being removed from the home. It wasn't pretty, but details for another time. She was served at work, and from what I know, it wasn't pretty either. Like I said, though, details for another time. My girls know what is going on. My oldest knows we are separating, and one of her friend's parents split for the same reason. She has seen what happened with her friend and doesn't want us to split. She has been crying for me to let mommy come home. I will be getting them in with a child therapist to explain and help them understand. From the direction of my lawyer, my youngest just wants mommy to come home and misses her. It kills me and makes me feel like a terrible father. They probably hate me now. Sometimes I think I should just let their mother cheat on me to keep the family unit to make my girls happy, but I just can't do that. Sometimes I think about talking about allowing an open relationship and we can just wait until the girls are older, but that won't work for me. Plus, I know the girls will pick up on it and will not like it that mommy and daddy don't love each other. As for my ex, she is living with her mother. At this point, my mother in law has called me and asked to meet. I agreed, and we will be meeting at some point. She didn't ask for details, as she said we would talk later, but begged me not to take her granddaughters away from her. I said, "You are a great and loving grandmother, and as long as you can separate my girls from what is going on between your daughter and me, I see no issue with you being able to see them, and I will not take them out of your life." She thanked me, and that was it. My ex has been trying to call me and text me, trying to figure out us. Under the direction of my lawyer, he has had it set up so that I can talk to her through a trackable method. And it is purely about the girls, no more, no less. So that is it for now. We'll probably keep updating, and once this is all over, I will make one big update with all the details I have to be careful about. Update number 3. So, first off, I had Thanksgiving with my soon-to-be ex-wife and mother-in-law. I did this purely for the girls and made sure with my lawyer that this was only about the girls and not about reconciliation. That was taken care of first. I met with my mother-in-law pre-Thanksgiving. We met and had a pretty mutual discussion, mainly just about how we will handle my daughters. Afterward, my mother-in-law did tell me some stuff about my soon-to-be ex. I guess my soon-to-be ex was cheated on by her boyfriend. I didn't even know she dated anyone. I guess this guy came from one of those families, according to my mother-in-law, and they told her to avoid him. Well, I guess one night she caught him with his head under another girl's dress and tongue deep in a girl's jewelry box. Why? My mother-in-law couldn't believe she would do this. She had a couple of boyfriends she met in college, but she knew they wouldn't last. She said that as soon as she met me, she found her son-in-law and said she is so sorry for her daughter's actions and will make sure that she doesn't try to do anything problematic with the divorce. Anyway, a couple of days before Thanksgiving, my mother-in-law asked for me to come over for dinner with the girls. I said, "Will she be there?" She said, "Yes." I said, "I can't be with her there." She said she understood, but asked if we could put on the holiday one more time for the girls. She said, "I know you have a lawyer, ask them, Mass. And if they say it is a bad idea, I get it." I did, and they said to tell your wife via the app that this is purely for the girls to avoid any confusion. So I did. She had contacted me before about coming over. She has been begging me to see me and the girls have been begging me to see their mom. I swallowed my pride for my girls, and we went. It was awkward. My soon-to-be ex gave our daughters a hug, fine, then tried to hug and kiss me. I just avoided her and went to give my mother-in-law a hug. My soon-to-be ex tried to act like we were husband and wife and was trying to talk to me. I answered with yes and no and helped my mother-in-law finish dinner and clean up. My mother-in-law is religious and wanted to do a prayer, and my soon-to-be ex sat next to me. I held my daughter's hand, my wife tried to grab mine, and I pulled away. I know it may seem petty, but I don't want her touching me. I am an atheist, but out of respect for my mother-in-law, I go along with it. Dinner was fine, but again, my soon-to-be ex was trying to act like we were going to be married and asking about Christmas and vacations she wants to take with us as a family. When she mentioned this stuff, I knew going over was a mistake. We finished dinner, and I pretty much got up, cleaned my daughters and my dishes, then was ready to go. My daughters wanted to watch a movie with their mother, which we always watched together. I let them, and my soon-to-be ex tried to cuddle next to me on the couch. I sat in the chair. After that, my mother-in-law was very mad at my soon-to-be ex the whole night for how she acted. I could tell by the look she gave her. The movie ended, and we started to leave. My daughters fell asleep, so I carried them to the car. I went back inside to grab something, and my soon-to-be ex grabbed me in tears, begging me to work on things and saying she wanted to be a family and was so sorry for what happened. Before I could say anything, my mother-in-law grabbed her by the hair, not joking, and yanked her, told me good night, and began yelling at her daughter. So yeah, I told my lawyer everything and said nothing indicated reconciliation, and I made that clear in my messages. I am fine. My wife is once again calling and begging now to work on us. She gets left on read. I will only talk about the girls, and I am sure they are going to want to do the same for Christmas. I don't know if I can or if it is okay. Once again, I will discuss this with my lawyer. Final update. Basically, my girls had 2 sessions this week with their therapist. The first one was good. My girls came out seeming more peaceful and calmer than usual. I talked to the therapist after, and she seemed to be very good and understand my girls well. So I took them to their second session, and it was completely different. The therapist explained in age-appropriate terms the reason my ex and I are separating, that their mother cheated, had an affair, and betrayed me. I knew eventually she would, but I didn't think it would happen this soon. When I went to get my girls, it was a burst of tears and them climbing all over me, giving me hugs and crying, saying they love me. I am happy they love me, but this is not what I wanted to happen with my girls. I asked the therapist why she told them, and she said the girls knew you two were separating, and they noticed you seemed to be really mean and unloving with their mother. Your girls aren't stupid. They know how you are, and they know how you treat their mom. They wanted to know why you are separating. I tried to explain the best I could, but she said the girls are not going to progress in therapy if we don't tell them. I am not going to go into detail on what exactly she said to them, but it was age appropriate. They now know the age appropriate version of their mother being unfaithful. I think my oldest could maybe handle this and be okay, but not my youngest. So we get home, and my girls won't let go of me. They were literally crying the whole night, so I ordered food, put in their favorite movies in my bedroom, and we laid there all night. They fell asleep, and I went to the bathroom and just cried. My soon-to-be ex doesn't even realize the pain she is causing our girls. I don't know how I'm going to deal with this. The therapist told me we could try medication for a bit until they get used to the new normal. I refused to do so, which she supported, and said it was just an option, as I am not drugging them. Disclaimer: she cannot prescribe drugs. She said they would need to see their primary, and they would probably diagnose my girls with something that would allow them to medicate them. I would rather deal with my daughter's emotions the healthy way. I won't have to worry about Christmas, as my daughters hate their mother now. How do I know? My oldest said she never wanted to see her mom again. My youngest follows what her older sister says, even though she may actually agree. I was shocked. I said, "You don't hate her. You may be mad, but you don't hate her. She loves and cares about you." My oldest just said, "No, she doesn't," and then just cried into my arms until she fell asleep. And so did my youngest. So this is my life now.